This is Steve Robbins. Welcome to the Get It Done Guys, quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. The wonderful thing about technology is that it gives us the illusion that we can do everything. So we try. And then we get overwhelmed. And then we suffer severe cognitive decline, physical stress, and we start to pull our hair out. It may be a good way to save on barbershop visits, but it isn't great for quality of life. Except, of course, for our corporate overlords who buy lapis lazuli yachts with all of the profits from our amazing productivity. What we can do, however, is we can manage the overwhelm so that it becomes doable. You'll have to pay for haircuts again, but it will be worth it. For example, David Allen's Getting Things Done system is a great way to manage stuff when it comes into your life. It turns everything into task lists. For me, however, those task lists quickly turn to chaos. Fortunately, there's a better way. Just keep one long list of tasks and have a really good way to decide what to do next. My favorite system for managing a gazillion tasks was created by Mark Forster. That's Forster. I think he's the best productivity mind I've ever encountered. I've been a big follower of his since the Get It Done Guy began. Mark has designed probably a dozen different systems for recording and doing tasks, and he starts with a different attitude on task management. He scoffs at the idea of ranking things according to priority, and he's British, so when he scoffs, it sounds great. Instead, he uses the psychology around the interplay between your conscious and unconscious minds to decide what to do next. My favorite system of his is Fast Final Version Perfected, or FFVP for short. He's had several things that were final or ultimate, so you can take that part with a grain of salt. In any event, I love this system, and here's how it works. First, use one long list to record your tasks. I use a paper notebook because paper engages all of my senses in a way that works way better for me than online task managers. 2. Put a dot by the first incomplete item in the list. 3. Scan forward through the list considering tasks with a relaxed mental attitude. The relaxed mental attitude is important. 4. When you see an item that jumps out at you, put a dot by that item. Now you have a choice. You can work on the item that you just dotted, or you can keep going until another item stands out to dot. When you've worked on an item for as long as you want to, mark it as complete. And if there's still more to do on it, re-add it to the end of the list. Now, work on the previous dotted item, or keep scanning forward from the one you just marked as complete and keep dotting things. When you reach the end of the list, work on the last dotted item. Jumping out is conscious and unconscious. When you scan a list, you're just scanning it with gentle attention. Don't try to prioritize, don't try to analyze, just let your conscious and your unconscious minds both consider the items that you've written. Mark believes that both minds need to buy into a task in order for you to be productive on it. That means even when we're alone, we're running things by committee. Isn't that comforting? When something jumps out, it may jump out for any reason. Maybe there's a deadline coming up. Maybe it's something that's really important. Maybe it's something that you just want to do. But when it jumps out, that means your unconscious mind is ready to let you work on it. Because your task list has a mix of items from everything you're working on, you're implicitly balancing all of your projects against each other, and you're allowing your unconscious mind to prioritize which one should be done now. Depending on the size of your tasks, you'll end up with a few large items dotted, or maybe several smaller ones. Keep each set of dotted tasks to a length that's short enough to finish in a couple of hours. You can, and will, always dot more tasks. Work as much as you want. When you're working on a task, you don't have to complete it in one sitting. Work little and often. Just re-enter a task at the end of the list if there's more to do, and you'll get to it when you keep scanning forward. Once you reach the end of the list, you go back to the previous dotted task, and when you're done with that, you either go forward or back to the dotted task before that. So unless you decide to go forward again after working on a task, you can think of this technique as scanning forward through the list, dotting the tasks that stand out, and then working on the tasks in reverse order from how you dotted them. Reprioritize tasks by rewriting them. If something new comes up that's really, really urgent, just add it to the end of the list. And then when you're dotting tasks, scan all the way forward, dot that task, and work on it. And that's also how you move something to the start of the list if you want it to be higher priority. Just cross it out from where it is and re-add it to the end of the list, and now it's available on the current pass of dotting tasks forward. Don't abuse this, however. The system works mainly when you're following the rules. One thing worth mentioning is that this is not a master list that I talked about in episode 171. With a master list, you record everything you think of. With Mark Forster's long list, you record only the things that you actually intend to do. Otherwise, all of the maybe someday items will end up clogging the list. When you have something you don't want in the active mix of what you're doing now, do one of three things. 1, keep a someday maybe list and add it to the someday maybe list. Somewhere on your long list, put an item, review my someday maybe list. And then when you eventually dock that item, review the someday maybe list, and if anything seems worth doing now, you can transfer it to your long list. Or schedule a specific time and date on your calendar when you'll do the thing that you're not going to do now, and then forget about it until the calendar reminder pops up. Or 3, schedule a future email or reminder to reconsider the item and set an alarm for a specific date and time. And at that point, you decide whether to add it to your long list, delete the reminder, or schedule taking action. Be disciplined in your approach. In order for any system to work, you have to use the system for long enough to get into the groove. That means always scan your list from the start and respect your dots. If you enter an urgent item at the end, still scan forward from the most recent dotted item up to the urgent item before dotting and doing that. And also don't overload it by starting with 100 items. Start with a few items and add them organically. If you have important stuff on your old list and you're afraid that stuff might get lost on your long list, just add a new item to your long list that says, review old task list and transfer over 3 items to my long list. And then you can reintroduce items from your old list at a pace that you can handle. Dealing with a to-do list that covers much of your life is easy when you make a long list and a someday maybe list. Just put everything you genuinely intend to do on your long list and use the Fast Final Version Perfected system by Mark Forster to go through the list, integrating your conscious and your unconscious decision-making. I'm Steve Robbins. Follow Get It Done Guy on Twitter and Facebook. If you want to take action on an important project or a dream you haven't started yet and change your life, check out my Get It Done Group's accountability groups at steverobbins.com or join my personal mailing list by texting Get It Done to 33444. Work less, do more, and have a great life.